Good morning. My name is Heather Knar. I'm from the Indiana PA Service Center. Today we're going to go over Lean PA as it applies to our monetary process. I'd like to introduce the offices that are involved. We have representatives from Altoona, Scranton, Duquesne, Indiana, Erie, and Harrisburg. We have representatives from Labor and Industry, from Initial Claims, Central Office, and OIT. We have our representatives from Lean PA, John and Doug. Thank you for the patience again. I just want to start with some of the principles we learned. Okay, the first is creativity over capital, or how can we use our everyday staff to come up with solutions, innovative solutions, without costing, more money. What's doable in the system that we have now? What we can improve. The second principle, and the most important, is that customer is first, and our customer is the claimant. Okay, we need to look at what adds value for the claimant, for their experience, and what doesn't. One example I'll use is the wait. The time it takes for that claimant to initially reach us, the time it takes to get information to the claimant, PIN numbers, financial determinations, the amount of time it takes to get information from claimants, their pay stubs, their forms, and then finally, how long does it take to complete the process to get that payment or determination to the customer. How did we do that? As a collective. Even before we came here, we got suggestions from our home mon offices. Certainly everybody here and everybody there has put a lot of time into this. Okay. Now, what we're going to look at is our system in 3 phases. The current state, which is, how we operate now. We're going to then go to the ideal state of, or, what would the perfect state be? Ideally, the stars align and everything is perfect. Then we'll go to the future state, or what is doable, what we can do to make improvements to the current state. Then we're going to look at metrics, the results of the implementation of PA Lean and what's going to positively increase and decrease. Right now I'm going to hand this off to April, Melissa, and Roberta to speak about the current state.
Okay, good morning. My name is April. I work in the monetary unit here in the Erie office. What I'm going to be doing is explaining the current state here in the Erie office only. Once I complete my process, I'm going to have Melissa come up and explain the various differences in Altoona, Duquesne, Harrisburg, Scranton, and Indiana. Also, Roberta will be coming up to explain the differences if you utilize the internet versus calling in and having that process completed over the phone. So before I start that, I know you guys see this chaos behind me. This actually took about 2 days to accomplish. And what it is it's just the various steps that are taken. Up here is a telephone call. When you receive a call, that process all the way through the end. Again, it took so long because it was every office, what they do, what their steps are, which is completely different in some cases. So that's why there's so many sticky notes. We have a legend down here at the bottom. The blue is the process for outside agencies. The pink represents the waiting times, and this gold color is opportunity for improvement, and then the orange would be the time frame that it takes to complete each step. Okay. So when a customer calls in, the current wait time is approximately 45 minutes. Once the call is answered, the interview process takes approximately 15 minutes. The goal is to complete the call as quickly as possible to move on to the next caller. If a monetary issue is detected during the interview, the claimant is either instructed to file an appeal and provide proof of missing wages, or the call is requeued to the monetary requeue line. This line is currently managed here in the Erie office. We have 6 interviewers assigned to that line. These interviewers are designated for providing detailed information regarding any monetary issue or instructing customers to provide information necessary to complete their claim. They also provide an approximate timeline and any steps that will be involved with completing the monetary process. These interviewers also have assigned tasks in between these telephone calls. Most issues are not identified until the customer receives their financial determination in the mail. The customer has 15 days from the date of the determination is mailed to file an appeal. This means that we may not even start the investigation for several weeks. We have 2 people assigned to reviewing and vacating appeals throughout the week. Once the appeal is vacated, it is then forwarded to a monetary interviewer assigned to that digit or issue. This person handles the claim until that process is thoroughly completed. The wage investigation might include contacting the employer, the customer, the tax agent, another state, or some other third-party entity hired to represent that employer. Also, the wage investigation can take anywhere from 2 to 21 days. So it just depends on the route that's taken, which office is handling the call, which person receives the call. So that's why there's such a huge variation in the time frame. The delays are usually caused by lack of information from the customer, employer, or delays caused by the tax agent. Once the wage investigation is complete, a new financial determination is mailed. The customer can appeal the revised financial to address a new issue or because they do not agree with the tax agent's determination. These appeals get sorted by us and prepared by gathering documents to send to the referee's office. And I will mention, because I know we had discussed this, you'll hear us refer instead of claimants. We're using the word customer just because we're trying to establish a new mindset regarding the individuals that we service. So a lot of us, you'll hear customer instead of the word we typically use, which is claimant. So right now I'm going to have Melissa come up and explain the differences in the other offices.
Morning, my name is Melissa. I'm from the Altoona office. I'm here just to explain some of the many differences. I'm only going to be going over a few because, like she said, it took us 2 days to go over every scenario. Currently in the Erie office, they have a direct monetary queue. Therefore, they are able to work on monetary work Monday through Friday. All of their offices are currently only able to work on these issues on Wednesday and Fridays, which are no-call days. Altoona interviewers send the 2Ds in the 931 for a MON department, which keeps them from helping the next customer on hold. Duquesne interviewers send a 988 to clerical, which then it goes to the MON sup. Then the MON supervisor assigns this to a MON interviewer. Therefore, this is around a 1-day delay. Other offices send a 988 to clerical, then that is routed to the monetary department, which in turn sends the documents needed. Coincidentally, this is also a 1-day delay. Currently, one of the offices are able to issue their own revised financial determination for combined wage claims, which makes things very timely. 2 of the other offices email wage record directly, therefore that is a 1-day delay. Altoona sends an email at the end of their shift to their supervisor. Then the next day, that supervisor sends the email to wage record. Then wage records issues the revised financial determination. That is about a 2-day delay for the customer. Some offices are able to use a different local office stop to detect when the wage investigation has started. That way it is easier for them to detect through pending pay and also makes a simpler way to track these claims that you need to follow. Currently, not all offices have available clerks to help distribute the mail in a timely manner, which delays the process in helping the customer. When proof of earnings are received, such as pay stub and payroll reports, several offices have the authority to go ahead and add these wages. Other offices do not, which this causes a 2 to 3 day delay for the customer. Currently, Altoona is the only office that is able to go ahead and process the 50% full-time weekly wage requests. All other offices must email this to Wage Record to process this request. This is approximately a 3-day delay. What we are finding is that there is no standardization between any of the offices, which this in turn takes extra unnecessary delays for the customer and delays their payments. I'm now going to introduce Roberta to explain the current state of the internet claims and issues with the monetary department.
Good morning. My name is Roberta, and I'm with the Erie Service Center here. Our current combined wage backlog is approximately 430 claims. We receive an average of 90 to 100 combined wage claims per day. One interviewer can process an average of 30 claims per day. And we have 2 dedicated interviewers working on them daily and more staff when call volume allows. Internet combined wage claims are not complete and have to be manually pushed through our system. The process begins by reviewing wages on each claim in both Wage Record and IBIQ to verify that no other valid claim exists in Pennsylvania or any other states. Each page of the Internet application is reviewed to identify all separation and non-separation issues. We verify that all the states showing in IBIQ are on the UI38 screen so that the IB4s are sent to the correct states. We verify that the AB date is correct and that the claim type is correct before interfacing. If it is a joint claim and there are federal wages involved, special handling is required to process the IB14 and get those federal wages from another state. Now, the claim, once we push through the claim and interface it, it generates the financial determination going out to the claimant or our customer. Now, what happens a lot of times is when that original financial goes out, it only contains the Pennsylvania wages. Well, the customer's out there thinking, well, I told them I worked in multiple states. So it causes a lot of confusion. Why am I getting this ineligible determination with just some of my wages on it? So our hope is to change that so that when they get their original financial determination, it contains all their information. As we're going through this, we also have to correct the employer addresses to ensure that the separation and non-separation forms are sent to the correct addresses. We then fax or mail all related documents to the employer. We make an initial call to the customer to certify credit weeks. Now, Pennsylvania is one of 3 states that still utilize credit weeks. Most of the states have done away with them, and it's probably because they cause delays in claim setting up. When you file a claim on the internet, we don't convey to the claimant what a credit week is or that we even need them. So we have to call them to get that information. We also have to address non-separation issues such as pensions or severances that aren't collected in the e-system. Now, if we don't have contact made with the customer, that's when we have to mail out a letter telling them we need this information from you before your claim can set up. So basically, sometimes we're telling them you need to call us again because we need your credit weeks. So after all this is done, we annotate the claim record of all action that we took on that claim. We prepare all the documents to be forwarded to the appropriate detection date TICO files. And then the next day, after the original 44F goes out, we have to go back in, and if we did talk to the claimant, we have to put those credit weeks up in the credit week field so that when their revised financial goes out, it has the correct information. So that's pretty much the process of a CB, or a combined wage internet claim. And now I'm going to turn it over to Lou Pelka, and he is going to present you with our ideal state.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Lou Pelka. I'm from the Erie Service Center, and just want to talk to you briefly about the ideal state, or one state, not a divided or a fractured state. A seamless system from beginning to end where there is no waiting, no callbacks for additional information, where provided information is at 100% from the beginning, all things done right the first time. 100% accuracy in delivery of benefits without interruptions or delays. Standardization in the system, procedures, forms, and actions. We do all the same thing all the time, accurately, timely, and efficiently. The system that is enduring, committed, and evolving. In order to have this process in play, we think certain goals and objectives of the agency must be met. Properly trained and motivated frontline staff given the tools to succeed. Staff are empowered to make decisions and take actions at the frontline level. Metrics as goals for a united, not a divided state, where staff are measured by the quality of service provided, need to be proactive, not reactive. A constant evolving system, not resting on our prior accomplishments. Staff are part of the solution, not the problem. Good ideas can come from anywhere or anyone. High levels of cooperation, communication. Listen, observe, learn, apply, while maintaining constant respect for everyone and their ideas. Staff are only part of the solution. We also need to involve our partners, both internal and external, not excluding the most important, our customers or our claimants. Educating our customers and our partners, providing them with multiple avenues of access to us. All working towards a common goal, and anyone can have a great idea. Okay, that's it for me. And the next person is going to be Brad from Harrisburg, and he's going to talk about the future state.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brad Mengel. I'm an interviewer and monetary representative from the Harrisburg Center. So how are we going to get from the current state to the ideal state? And that's going to be through the future state. So you can see with the pink Post-it notes, the wait times are going to be significantly reduced compared to what we have now. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that by empowering our representatives with the resources, tools, and more importantly, the confidence that they need in order to get this through to the claimants. They're going to go through the process. They're going to be given the time to ask questions, probe, know what's going on with that claim in the very beginning, so it reduces the need for information later on. At that time, it's going to reduce the amount of calls that we get, because a lot of the calls that we now receive are people calling in, wanting to know where their money is, what's going on with their claim, general status. That will also continue through the process and get you to the very end much more quickly, and that's going to alleviate customer fears. It's going to give them the confidence and the knowledge to know that they're going to have faith in their system through education, confidence, and follow-through is the more important things. And at that point, I'm going to pass it on to Daniel John, who's going to speak to you about the implementation of the next process.
Thank you, Brad. Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel from the Office of Unemployment Compensation Benefits Policy. I want to thank the Erie UC Service Center for hosting us here this week. This group's been here all week, and we've all had a great time. And for a lot of us, it was actually our first visit to Erie as well, so that was very nice to see this great city. So during the course of the week, we did discuss the process of filing a claim and how it can be improved. And we also discussed a number of ideas as part of Lean PA, a number of new ideas that we can maybe implement. I'm not going to list all of those ideas because it's 50 to 60 ideas, but some of the ideas are going to be easier to implement than others. Like one great idea was, can we scan all monetary documents and kind of house them electronically somewhere where they can be accessed? That's a really great idea. You know, we would like to do that, and I think we can do it. It's going to take a lot of resources and a lot of time. So that's kind of one, maybe for a little bit for the back burner, but there are other ideas that actually don't really take a lot of resources or time that we can implement pretty quickly. Some of those have been briefly mentioned, the permissions for all staff to do reissuing financial determinations, standardizing some of the monetary forms. That will help a lot, pretty easy to do. And also having a dedicated queue for monetary calls. Erie has that right now, but the other service centers I don't believe do. So we can do some of those things pretty easily. In order to accomplish all of this, our group is going to meet, is going to need to meet every 2 weeks to kind of keep all of our projects on track. And again, we have a lot of projects. How are we going to do all of this? Is it too much? You know, I say no because, you know, I came here this week and I knew some of the names, but I hadn't met any of the people. But I can tell you, like the group of people that we had discussing all of this in our Go Lean training this week, they are 1,000% committed to doing this and helping everyone out. And by the way, like, I don't think this group should be an exclusive group. Everybody in the service centers, everybody that works in UC and labor and industry should be part of this. That's the idea. We're supposed to have everyone coming in together, and we're trying to create a culture of continuous improvement right here. That's the other thing. Once these ideas are implemented, it's not like, oh, that's it, we're going to stop. We keep looking for new ways that we can serve the customer better. So I think we can do that because we have the people that believe in it. So we will need support at all levels in order to do all of this. So I hope you can all join us. So now I want to turn it back to Heather. She's going to talk about some of the metrics that are involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello again. So now we're going to go over the metrics or the results. What happens when we go from that current state to this, what we can do, what we will do, and what is possible going into the future state. And, always striving for that ideal state. This is the first step. These are averages, but there's always room for improvement. Now, the example we used is, in the current state, is a claimant with a monetary issue who has gone through the appeals process twice. Okay, so what we're first looking at is lead time. From the time the claimant picks up the phone until they get their financial determination or until they get paid. Okay, so right now, for a customer, I should say, who is sent through the MON REQ, on average, the wait, 39 days. To a customer who is, just sent through the MON on a 988, that wait increases a little to 43 days. If they're filing online and there's an issue, 45 days. Okay. When we move to the current state, we'll see decreases. Going through the MON REQ, 29 days. Going through the 988 process, 29 days. And then going through the internet, that drops to 22 days. Okay. Then we look at contacts, repeat calls. Right now, on average, they're calling in at least 5+ times. When we get to this current future, or to this future state, that'll go to 1 to 2 times. They may not even have to call back in. We look at backlog. Currently, on average, the backlog's about 1,600. About 500 of that can be internets. When we go to the future state, that's less than half, 750. Okay. Certainly with cost, we don't have, that's to be announced the exact cost, but just for postage, for outgoing calls, that's going to drop. I mean, you can see from there to here, that's definitely going to drop. Defects or errors, claims with errors right now, about 70%. When we get, a more efficient system, get more information out to people, that's going to go to 30%. So, certainly that's going to have a big impact on a customer. Getting your payment in 2 weeks versus 4 weeks or 6 weeks. It's going to have an impact on, the service centers. The backlog is going to go. Cases going out quicker, quality's up, confidence, like Brad said, the morale's going to go up. The end goal, the experience of the process for customers and for staff is to make it easier, better, faster, and overall cheaper. And I view, this is just an ongoing it's possible, it's sustainable, it's a plan for improvement. And with that, I'll hand this over to Lucy, who's going to wrap things up for us.
Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Lucy from Duquesne. Lean PA. Lean. A proven concept that eliminates waste, improves productivity, and the quality of services that we provide to the citizens of Pennsylvania. Kaizen, a Japanese word for change for the good, for continual improvement. We have participated in this Lean PA event to achieve the ultimate goal of providing exceptional service with minimal waste. The citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania deserve the level of service that is based on the Lean PA principle. And this goal can be accomplished with the support of the site administrators, the supervisors, and our colleagues. We welcome the chance to embrace a change for the good, to embrace the lean PA concept as it applies to Pennsylvania unemployment compensation. And this is just the beginning. We, as one cohesive team, enabled by employee empowerment, want you to be as inspired and as enthusiastic as we are to become a lean PA unemployment compensation monetary unit. Thank you.
Some questions? They're here or out there.
Questions from in here or from the field?
You're gonna have to unmute them.
Rod?
Oh, they can unmute themselves.
Oh, they can unmute themselves. Okay.
Why don't you just go room to room and ask them? 100 and
Oh, yeah.
614 and then each side.
Any questions from E100? Whoops, this way. Yes. E100, any questions? Can't tell, dude. Are they unmuted?
Altoona has a question, please.
Oh, Altoona, go ahead.
That backlog of 1,600, is that statewide or is that just in the main Erie office, main Mon department in Erie?
Statewide. Per week.
Thank you.
You have any other questions, Altoona?
No, thank you.
Indiana?
We have one question.
Actually, it's more of a comment than a question. First, I wanted to applaud the team for the work they did. Government has historically been lax in innovating, and what they've done here is just amazing, and they've done great work. I personally have had the unique experience of working in 3 out of 5 of our remaining offices, so I've had a chance to experience the differences between the offices, so I understand what they're talking about. And it seems, what I gathered from the presentation, from what I've experienced personally, the field offices that are given the most autonomy to act in-house have been able to increase their performance in terms of serving the customer. And while I can see the importance of moving towards uniformity between the offices, I would say that not all individuality should be sacrificed, because we need to be able to flex and adapt to our individual circumstances, depending on what's happening in our local offices. Some of the differences between the offices are organizational and hierarchical, where hierarchy, as you said in your presentation, where hierarchies are flattened and people are empowered to act, the staff are empowered to act on the front lines. It seems like performances can be improved. And certainly organizing the work in a uniform fashion should improve our performances. But there are some logistical differences between the offices that exist in terms of size, in terms of layout, in terms of staff size. And that's where we should seek to retain some of our flexibility and adaptability to adapt to those individual circumstances. But this is a huge move in the right direction. This is amazing, and I hope we see a lot more of it. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
No.
Is that something that needs to be?
Any other comments or questions from Indiana? What else we have? Scranton?
None, thank you.
Any comments or questions? Scranton, any comments or questions?
Yes, we do have one question.
I have a question. You're saying about giving the interviewer more responsibility. So are we going to get rid of this appeal process where they have to file the appeal? Or are we going to go back to when you're taking that interviewer, that claim, asking the claimant, are you missing wages? Here's where I have you worked. You know, if they're not eligible, are we going to go over that and just send those UC 2 days out to those employers and get rid of that appeal process? Because that sure takes a long time to get the appeal, send the forms out, when we could do it right there from the get-go. You got the guy on the phone, you want to get his missing wages, have the interviewer send out the forms, just like we did when I started 10, 15 years ago.
Staff, is that what's happening?
Yeah. So to address that, what we're actually proposing is through technology, through whatever means we can, just to be creative. You know, people can take pictures of things with their smartphones now and email it to us. Can we do that UC2D right over the phone with the employer? And then maybe say, taken via phone call with the rep signature, can we accept that? Is it just going to be us maybe emailing the employer, having them fill it out and emailing it right back if they can? And keeping everything uniform. You know, you said every service center is different, and we recognize that. That was one of the hardest things we had to deal with this week. But we all want to try to be on the same page, and if something's working really well for you, we want to make sure that it's working well for all the service centers. So, you know, if there is a difference, we can address it at that point and recognize that everything's individual, and kind of do a customized thing with each customer that we have. That's what we're here for. And with being empowered, being able to do certain things that we can't do now, we should be able to do these things much quicker, much quicker. I mean, this to this is self-explanatory. And when we come back into our individual centers, I'm hoping that's what we get across to you, is to show how much of a difference we can actually make. It's going to make you happier as a representative, and it's going to make the claimant happier as a customer. I hope that.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Indiana again. The question, I believe, was only partially addressed. We're asking, and what Scranton was asking was, in the initial interview, where the interviewer identifies that there is a MON issue, can they begin the process of addressing that monetary issue then and there, rather than waiting for the claimant to file an appeal 5-10 days later?
So what we want to do is get every office a monetary queue. That way, when there is an issue other than a combined wage claim, it can be transferred to that monetary department. That way you can get the information that's needed. Make sure you have the right address. Send it to the correct employer. Fax it to the employer. You can email it to the employer. You don't no longer have to wait for that claimant to file the appeal. That way you can get the information and start. If it gets close to the appeal period and you still are waiting for information, then of course you would have to do the vacate process, because that is their right. They have their appeal rights. But if we can start it on our end and get it done before we even have to get to the appeal process, why not?
If you're finished, I can add to that as well. Thank you. So it goes to the MON queue. So they are getting, they're getting the information on that first call. It's not going to go through the interviewer. The interviewer is still going to detect it. They're going to go to a monetary queue that addresses it right then and there. Because we know that for interviewers, they have, time restraints. They need, we're constantly, you got to move to the next customer. So you're still getting the initial information on that first call, which is important. It's going to, reduce a little bit of what we used, like in the older days, interviewers would take all that information. It's still being gathered, just not by, an interviewer. It's going to be addressed on a monetary level. Thank you.
Good on the question. Any other comments?
From 614, we have a question.
614? Go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Bill Cedar. I'm the site administrator for the Indiana UC Service Center. going to the current state to the future state, has any discussion or are there any projections as like a timeline or how many steps, increments is going to take us to get from the current state to the future state? I don't assume we can go in one fell swoop. That it's going to have to be done incrementally. Have you guys thought about that or discussed that? And what resources are you going to need for that?
That's that timeline we did with the.
So we've put together a timeline of all the tasks that it'll take to get from the current state to the future state. Like Daniel said, there's 60 items on there, and there's a lot. But as far as getting them done, we've put dates on each item of when we're going to start it and when we're going to end it. That information is going to be shared and posted in the Lean PA on the L drive under Lean PA, so everyone will be able to see it. Now, the team here will be working with each other and all of you and us to make sure that we can complete as much of those items as we can as soon as we can. So I don't know if that's the best answer for you right now, but once you see the timeline, you'll I don't have it in front of me. So Daniel.
Just to add a little bit, I mean, I think, we were here a week, and we certainly discussed a lot of these ideas. We didn't get, because there were 50 to 60 ideas, we didn't get to discuss all of those in detail and discuss exactly how we're going to get from start to finish with each of these ideas. But I can tell you that, as Sharma said, we've got a start date for pretty much all of the main ideas that we know are on the easier level for us to accomplish. So we can get started with these. Some of them do already have end dates because we don't expect them to take that long. Some of them, again, will take a little bit more work. And again, the kind of work that's involved for some of these ideas, some of it is just reorganizing existing resources that we have, and those are again, some of the relatively easy ones. Some of the ones that involve maybe sort of outside entities, and you might include like OIT with that, or you might include like even other bureaus or even other states. Obviously, those are a little trickier, but we can certainly, and it kind of goes back to this idea that with Lean PA, we're trying to instill a culture of continuous improvement. So it's not like we're ever really finished with it. Like there's this end date like 2 years out, and then we never do anything again. We're always going to be looking for ways that we can serve the customer better. That's kind of like the idea. And everybody can contribute, because like maybe I've got a few ideas, sure, I've got some, but I think everybody in this room, everybody that's listening to this, everybody that works in the service centers probably have some ideas. Some are going to be, better than others, but we kind of need to start, if we can, to listen to everybody and try to find those good ideas, and then if we can implement them relatively easily, that's what we want to try to do. So I hope that kind of answers it a little bit. Yeah. What are we saying?
Yeah. So in general, we're hoping for about 6 months time frame.
Pat, can I say something?
Hey,
Go ahead.
614 has some more questions.
just a quick follow-up to that. Just a quick follow-up to my question. Then the approval process, how is that going to work? In the process of moving from the current state to the future state, and you're going to also have other program areas that you're working on. Are they going to be moving in conjunction on parallel tracks, or are you going to integrate one first, move on to the next one?
Right. We're going to move with as many as we can. That's we all have day jobs also, but we will still be going through the normal approval process. We are state government. We have to have our managers and supervisors and site administrators come together and agree on the changes. But we think we made a good case. So it's just a matter of going through our normal process to make sure that everyone's on board and bought in, and then once that's happened, move on to implementing it across the state.
Yeah, I just have a quick comment. This is Charlie Law. I'm the site administrator for the HOC.
And recently I saw a program on television where they had the 100 people that made the biggest impact on society. And it was presidents and despots and dictators and inventors and the whole thing. But the number one person who made the biggest impact on society was Anton Gutenberg, the guy who invented the printing press. And the reason for that was everybody had these little ideas of their own, and he was able to bring them all together. All right. And when I take a look at the people here, like Daniel, John, and Brad, who is from Harrisburg, and the enthusiasm, and knowing the shortness of the buck that we have right now, we've got to be much more creative. And I love to see the enthusiasm here because we can't wait for somebody else. We have to do this ourselves. And I see this as being an evolutionary, ongoing project. One thing right now will start today. It's going to open up new ideas and more, spawn greater creativity down the road. So I applaud everybody's effort in putting this together, and I'm in awe. So I do thank you.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Duquesne? Comments, questions? You've been silent.
Thank you. You had answered our question. I do have another question, and I realize that you haven't given us all of the ideas the many ideas that have been put forth in this project, but I'm just curious about internet claims. For example, a claimant files online and indicates that they're not a U.S. citizen. Is there some way that a request for information letter could go out with the other documents, the claims confirmation letter, the handbook, etc., at that point to save some time rather than having us wait to process it once we receive that filing?
Yeah.
Someone come on up here. Come on down.
That's the initial claim process.
If I can talk about like internet claims in general, I think they can be problematic for us because on the one hand, it's great when someone is able to just file their application online and they're not taking up our time on the phone. But the negative part of it is they're not always given all the information as part of the application that they need in order to then provide the information that we need later on. So a claimant who's a non-citizen is a good example because they need to provide additional information, and the current application isn't really set up for them to be able to do that. One of the ideas that we discussed during our week here when we got into talking about non-citizen claimants is that we potentially the application could include a way for the claimant to upload a copy of some of their, a copy of their alien registration card or something like that. And so there's definitely a lot of things we can do to improve that. And so it's not just the non-citizen claimants; it's also other claimants with kind of special circumstances that we want to try and accommodate them better, because ultimately, it helps, as Brad said, to get us from this state to this state. Everything's a lot simpler, it's a lot faster, and we're serving the customer better.
You want to add something?
You have something to add? Yeah.
So when you had said about the aliens getting their documents to us and that letter going out, what we proposed was when they do the internet application, just like with a military claimant, that pop-up comes up where they have to send in their DD-214. Can we also get a pop-up to come up that says, can you provide your verification documents? But to go a step further, wouldn't it be nice for that representative who's talking to that claimant on the phone to say, hey, do you have a smartphone? Can you take a picture of the front, the back, and your social security card and email it to me? And we have it. Because let's face it, when we do get documentation from the claimants now, a lot of times they'll come through a fax. Well, alien cards don't fax very well. They come through too dark, you can't read them, and then you're asking them multiple times and having multiple touches with that claimant to try to get that information. A smartphone and that picture comes right through clear as day. You print it, put it with your documents, you're good to go.
Any other comments, questions?
Thank you. That was very informative.
From 614, we have a question.
Go ahead.
With many of the things that we do, I know we have a wish list for our OIT projects. I guess I would like to verify if many of these recommendations involve OIT making changes. Will we be hamstrung and not be able to do them because we're still at the behest of OIT and what they can perform?
So a lot of the suggestions have nothing to do with OIT, but anyone else? I don't want to talk about this. So anyone else want to?
I mean, the only thing I can say is OIT has their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it is going to take a lot.
Shama will prioritize the things you need.
Yeah. So Bob just said that the items will be prioritized based on the needs of this future state.
Okay.
So,
There's a lot that don't need it.
yeah, but most just so everybody's clear, most of the items that will get us here have nothing at all to do with OIT.
Okay, when we talked about the internet and pop-ups coming on the internet, I don't know if Daniel can explain if that's something he can do or if that requires an OIT.
That's OIT.
OIT.
Yeah, that specific one's OIT.
Okay.
But that's not all.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't dreaming of
Yeah,
it.
That's what he said. Right.
No, yes, correct.
And that one's an easy one.
In that specific instance for aliens, that is OIT.
Right. That's one of the things with the, we do have a lot of requests in to OIT, and it's kind of easy for us to just say, fix this thing, fix that thing. But sometimes some of the things that we're asking for are relatively simple because, and a good example, one of the things we've talked about this week is that there's a group of claimants out there that need like an alternate base year when you talk about financial eligibility because they were injured at work at some point, and then they can actually be eligible for unemployment later on. And to accommodate those claimants, we ask a question about workers' compensation. And what we're finding, and I knew it was sort of a problem, but it's apparently a much bigger problem than I imagined, that a lot of claimants kind of read the question and it has the phrase workers' compensation in there, and I guess they're not understanding the question always. So they're saying that yes, I was collecting workers' compensation when they actually weren't, and that's sort of creating like a lot of work when you add it all up that actually is unnecessary. So one of the things we're doing, and it is OIT related, we're changing the question so it really is more specific, and it adds a phrase about it adds the question: have you been injured at work and subsequently collected workers' compensation, which should eliminate that problem. That particular OIT fix, it's something OIT is doing. It's relatively easy for them because it's just changing the question.
Yep.
Did I miss any service centers? Any other questions in general? E100 again? You've been quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, this room now.
Okay.
Bob, Barb, Amy, Jen. Any questions?
I'm very pleased with the efforts. I think this is great. Now we have to make sure we get it across the finish line and get to the future state.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Great. Thank you. Well, I'd like to just thank everyone for taking the time to be here with us. It's been a long week. We've had a lot of tension points, to say the least. We think at one point we thought John was going to run away from us, but we made it through. It's been a pleasure getting to know all of you. This was a great team. I'm beyond pleased with what we've accomplished here. And now the hard part comes in. So,
Before you sign off, I just want to say on behalf of Secretary Mandarino and myself, I want to thank you, Susan, all of you, everybody, for your hard work, for your efforts. This is really great. To take something that's now taking 45 days, and we believe we can reduce it to 22 days.
Yes.
You look at these things, long overdue. I think a lot of people, if not everybody in this room, knows I am a very, very big believer in labor and management working together, and everybody working together for a common good. And the common good is better customer service for our customers. This is long overdue. I think this is great. And whatever you need from me, and I know I'm speaking for the secretary, she would have been here today, but she had a prior commitment. Whatever you need from our end, you will have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We know where
With
you
that,
are.
And the door's open.
Does anyone else have any final comments from the team?
No, good.
We're ready to go.
All right.
Well
thank you.
done, Shama. Well done, Suzanne.
Yes.
Go eat lunch.